So, welcome everybody to our fifth live session. We're gonna do today a very artistic haircut. My name is Marcus and I'm a hairdresser for more than 30 years now. So I hope you will get a lot of inspirations from this crazy, little kind of crazy haircut we're gonna do today. So our topic is the Windswept Pixie haircut. What does that mean? That means that we use slice cutting techniques for a very modern, with a longer nape, highly texturized haircut. We have a lot of different lengths inside, like the wind blows through the hair. This is the effect we want to create. And I posted the picture of the result we want to achieve the last few days. So I think you should get an intention how it looked like. Again, I posted the graphics of the cutting techniques a few minutes ago, so you can follow the way I do. What we're gonna use here from the scissor side is my slice cutting scissor, because this slice cutting scissor guarantees for a more softer cutting line, because this Windswept Pixie needs very fluently length arrangements, and the slice cutting scissor helps to achieve that. Now we're gonna start it, and my model here is once again the Victoria von H.H. Simonson, the model I love. And what I did is the division I need for this haircut. So we have a subdivision on the top of the head and two subdivisions on the sides. And now we are starting with the first separation here in the nape area, and we do a parting vertical. But first, one of the most important things to do this haircut is the way you hold the scissor is much different than you regularly used to. We use the claw technique for the nape area. The claw technique means that you put your index finger here and your ring finger here, and you hold the scissor like that. That makes cutting this kind of haircut much easier instead of using the regular scissor position. Yeah, it makes more comfortable for you. So put your index finger to the first eye and your ring finger to the second, and then you hold the scissor like that. And if you distribute the hair, you can go in this way, you can go in that way, and that's pretty easy and helps you to do this slice cutting technique in the nape area. Maybe a few of us know Miley Cyrus, and this is an interpretation of Miley Cyrus's new look with the longer nape and the shorter hair on the top. So we're going and start the haircut, and what we first have to take care is that the hair is totally wet, and we hold the scissors in the claw technique. If you like, you can put your head a little bit up, and you're doing vertical sectionings, and make the partings about 1 centimeter wide. You comb the hair horizontal, and you start doing the claw technique in this direction. And as you can see, we get as a result an increased layered form in the nape area. How long you would like to leave this, it's up to you and it's up to your client. And now what we're gonna do is we work around the head using the vertical sectionings all the time. And if you like, you can take a guideline from your last section, from the last section you cut it, but it's not necessary because the length arrangement will be very, very soft. So you won't see the length difference. So comb the hair horizontally, put the claw technique, go through the head, through the hair, and follow the line you want to create. take the next centimeters, still stay vertical in sectioning, and comb the hair horizontally. When you come through the ear, it is important that you distribute the hair a little bit more to the middle of the nape and not follow the head form, because in this situation you will be too short in the result. What we want to create is a little length arrangement through the ear. So distribute the hair a little bit more to the middle of the nape. You can see I still stay in the claw technique to make it this way of hair cutting as easy as possible for me. This is the last section from the nape area, and you can see how strong I distribute it into the middle of the nape to get the length increase through the ear. So now I can show you the result of the haircut. On the first side I did, you see I'm very short here under the swivel area. I get longer through the nape and I get also a length increase through the ear. Now we're gonna do the second side of the head. So I will turn, taking care that the hair is still wet. It's very important if you do slice cutting. I return to the middle of the nape and continue in the same way. To make it easier for you, if you want to do this haircut by yourself, is you comb the hair from the outside through the middle. That helps you getting the length increase through the hair, also on the other side. You can see I comb the hair first horizontally, then I switch the comb, turn it to the outside and comb it through the inside, and so I get more control about the length. Maybe some of you follow the haircuts we do here in these live sessions some more often, and then you know I will post the final result and videos of the haircut we do in the next days. So if you not get the full haircut today, you have the possibility to get shorter versions of the video and more explanations in the next days. So stay tuned at my account and you get every information you need. If you have further questions through me, you can send me direct messages all the time, and I promise I will answer as much as possible. So the last two sections, I'm still combing the hair from the outside through the inside and still cutting in the cloud technique. Last section, last step. If you have not enough length, it doesn't matter. Because what we're doing now is to put the head a little bit forward and give the contour line a little bit more definition. We comb the hair in the natural fall, comb it through the head and do a little point cutting technique to give the contour line more definition. As a tip from me, do not cut a straight line, because this haircut should be very, very soft, the windswept feeling, and it's better to use a point cutting technique in this way. As you can also see, I put my fingers a little bit diagonally, which help you getting the length increase through the hair. So, pretty easy, pretty fast. Like you can see, I switched from the claw position into the regular scissor position. So, excuse me, my English is not perfect, but I do my best. So, we move one step further, we go through the side. I'm still making the hair wet here again. And what's really important for you, and you can see that and on my graphics as well, you start the sectioning from a pivot point in this position. And you go pivotal partings about the side area, cutting the shortest point here at the contour line and getting longer through the ear. I do the first section here. Put the other hair away. Change my position so you can better see it. And I'm starting here with a very short point and increase my length through the ear. Doing the next sectioning, still using my pivot point at the contour line, comb the hair through my first section, looking where my guideline is. Maybe you can see, here is my guideline. I comb the hair through my guideline, stay in the same angle, and follow this line. You can see the result is a very short hair here and the contour line, and the length increase through the ear and through the nape. This is a very modern look you create, which was inspired by Miley Cyrus. And I personally like this form because she's basically from the 80s, but it's very modern in these days as well. So I still doing diagonal sectionings, do my slice cutting technique, and now make a connection through the nape. But take a closer look what I'm doing here. I do not go diagonal because in this way I cut off this hair here because I need this length. So I comb the hair through the face, stay here, make a connection, but make this connection as soft as possible. Because I leave as much length as possible here in the nape area. Next section. Comb the hair through the face. Stay here at the shortest point. Use a high angle and cut the hair through your guideline. And finally, the last section, still using the same technique. I show you how it looked like. This is a typical look from the 80s. Very short here on the side, a longer length in the nape area, but very, very soft. Later on we will do some dry cutting to make it more softer than it is like yet. So now we move to the other side and doing in principle the same. We still stay with pivotal patternings and starting with a short point here at the contour area. Of course, this side is a little bit more complicated because now you have to cut behind your fingers. On the other side, if you are right-handed, you can cut easier. But now it's a backhand hair cutting, but you need to train this to get this kind of hair, to do this kind of haircut and get this result. So comb the hair through the face, cut behind your fingers, backhanded. If you're doing the cut, you can decide if you close your scissor very slowly, like I prefer, or you can only do a totally slice cutting. But in my opinion, it gives a little bit more guideline if you close the scissor very slowly. So this is what I prefer, but you can try both. So now I do the next section and make the connection to the nape area. One more. For those of you who come a little bit later and asking what kind of haircut we're going to do, we're doing a Windswept Pixie haircut. You can get images from the final result at my account on Instagram and YouTube as well. If you missed the beginning of this haircut, you can also look at the videos we will post later on, so you can repeat the haircut or you can get things that you missed. So, now we are done with both sides, and we're gonna move to the top of the head. We take off both clips, and now we are gonna use a technique I showed a few weeks before. I used this technique at my undercut long Pixie haircut as well. So, but I will explain it and show you what I'm gonna do. I'm starting with cutting the top of the head with triangular sectionings. And it is not necessary that you make a connection with these lengths underneath. We have a disconnected haircut, and these disconnections in this haircut give this windswept feeling that the wind can blow through the hair, and it's a lot of movement in this haircut. So the connection is not important, but what you can do is using the shortest lengths here as a guide, where you can start increasing the length in this section. We're gonna do triangular sections over the top of the head, and we cut from the smaller side through the wider side, doing the shorter length on the smaller side and the longer length on the wider side. This is a technique I do very often when I want to do this kind of disconnected haircuts. So, I'm looking for my length, taking a little length as a guide. I comb the hair in a 90 degrees angle. I start slice cutting under my fingers and increase length through the wider part of this section. Take a look to the result. We see the longer length here, we see a longer length here. If we take out this, we see a little connection here. If we take out this, we see there's a big disconnection. That's the result we want to get. Now we do the next parting. We start from this point, go over the head through the other side. We have a triangular section, smaller side here, wider side here. I have to stand before my client or my mannequin. I take a little guide length here and start slice cutting under my fingers an increased layered form through the other side. Let us check what we're gonna do. We have here a connected length. If we take a closer look here, we have a big disconnected length. That's what we want to achieve. So we do the next sectioning. We start here from this low point. We go over the head, through the other side, do the triangular section. I have to turn my mannequin because I can only slice cut in this direction. It's not possible to do it that way. It's totally uncomfortable. So I comb the hair in a 90 degrees angle, start my slice cutting smaller side through the wider side, and increase the length. Done. Next section. Triangular. Comb the hair away. Turn your mannequin, because you have to change your position in this if you do this in salon on a client. Start cutting here from the short side, diagonal, through the other side. Next section. You see, this technique is not so complicated. If you understand it one time, It's very easy and you can do this haircut very quick.
Why do you do this disconnection?
Somebody is asking why we should it do so disconnected, because we want to have this very soft, windswept feeling, and when you see later the result, you understand for this haircut, for the feeling of these haircuts, it's necessary that you have some longer hair in between these shorter lengths, and this gives a lot of movement into this hair. This is a haircut not for totally straight hair. It's good if the hair of your client has a little movement. A little bit is enough, but a little movement, like my Monica, this is maybe a little bit too much, but you can do it on softly waved hair as well. That's pretty perfect. But this, the feeling and the result is much different instead of cutting straight lines and try to make this soft afterwards. So these disconnected lines helps a lot to get the feeling of the windswept. So we still do these diagonal length arrangement. And now we are on the top of the head. We have many disconnected lengths here. We do one more section here and then we stop and we switch the technique. I show it you from the side so you got every perspective. I take a little guideline from the side and start doing so. What we now gonna do is we take control about the hair length around the face. Of course, you can continue with this technique for the rest of the haircut, but the length around the face need to be a little bit shorter, because if you take a look at the image I posted, you can see that the length here on the top of the head is longer than at the front of the head. So it helps you if you start doing the same technique, but you start it once again around the face and cut the length increase through the top of the head. What you have to decide on this position is first, in which direction your client want to move the fringe area. If your client moves it in this direction, you start from here. If your client wants to move it in the other direction, you make the parting in the opposite direction. And you still have a guideline for the shortest lengths here. I comb the hair, take a little bit as an orientation, and then I start doing the same technique. Take a look. We have shorter lengths here, we have a length increase through the other side, and we have a really long length here. What we later do when we do the dry cutting, we connect these different lengths a little bit more, that you have more the feeling of a continued haircut and a clear form. So we do now a triangular section in the opposite direction. Taking my guideline from the side, and we have one more last section here. I turn the head, get a connection to the patternings I did over the top of the head. When I check out the lengths I created, I can see I have the shortest lengths here around the face and the longer lengths here on the top of the head. This is the wet cutting, creating a lot of movement in this pixie haircut. What we're now gonna do is, we do a very quick blow drying, and then we continue this Windswept pixie haircut with a strong dry cutting technique. So, give us a few minutes, and then we return, and then you can see how we finalize this haircut. We will return in 12 minutes. So, see you later, guys.